Our keynote speaker today for lunch is Tavia Laliberte. Tavia is a member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, and she's the current Vice President, Academics at the Saskatchewan Indian Institute of Technology. In her role, she's responsible for strategic leadership, direction, and vision of programs at SIIT to promote academic success and create a student-centered atmosphere. She's also served as President and CEO at Northwest College from 2013 to 2018, and for over 13 years was with the Gabriel Dumont Institute of Native Studies. She holds an MBA from the University of Saskatchewan and is currently enrolled at the University of Bath in the Doctor of Business Administration with a focus in higher education management. Tavia has also served as a board member with the National Body of Colleges and Institutes Canada, representing Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Nunavut. She was also an inaugural director with that organization's pilot initiative for college-based social innovation that managed the Government of Canada's first pilot project in social impact bonds. She has served as president of SaskSport, an organization that's licensed to operate Saskatchewan lotteries and dedicated to sport, culture, and recreation organizations in our province. She's current interim board chair with the Saskatchewan Higher Education Quality Assurance Board, and that board oversees the quality assurance review of institutions seeking degree granting status in Saskatchewan. She's recently been awarded the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal for the development and fostering of Indigenous education. As you can tell from what she's done, has been both a focus and success throughout her academic and professional career. And for those who may not be aware, SIIT is a First Nations governed educational institution, one of only 4 credit granting post-secondary institutions in our province, and the only credit granting Indigenous institution. SIIT provides adult learners with academic, vocational, and technical training, as well as services and supports for employment and career growth. Indigenous learners are at the core of SIIT, representing over 90% of the student body. And Tavia will be speaking to Indigenous Innovation, ? Please join me in welcoming Tavia to our stage.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me to come this afternoon. It's kind of a good thing to have a big, long bio. It kind of eats into your time a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to actually talk about a very specific project that we have at SIIT, and I'm going to take a particular lens of it. So I'm hoping to, that you'll understand what we're doing, but I'm going to take kind of a unique approach. And so the project has been called Mioskamin, and Mioskamin is a Cree word, and it means like breaking new ground. So like in spring when the ice is starting to break up, and that's what Mioskamin means. So I'm going to talk about our innovation project and how Indigenous Post-Secondary Institution cultivates an Indigenous innovation ecosystem through a relational-centered framework. So started back, Canada's innovation agenda. I know mining is quite familiar with that. So 2016 federal budget, there was an innovation agenda, and then the following years federally, there was a number of investments around innovation, including supporting Canadian innovators, accelerating innovation through superclusters, supporting Canadian inventors through venture capital, Canada's Clean Tech Advantage, and supporting innovation in key growth industries. So at SIIT, we kind of were paying attention, looking to see where the money was flowing, what the intentions were, and we could certainly see a lot of innovation accelerator projects popping up, and we could certainly see there was going to be a role for higher education within the innovation agenda, not surprisingly. But we started to ask ourselves, so what was the plan to ensure there was Indigenous inclusion and participation in the innovation agenda? And then, what is Indigenous innovation? Like, is it even a thing? Is it different? And if it is different, in what way? And so these were some of the things that we were struggling with. And as we went around to different institutions or different people involved in tech and innovation, we certainly realized that they articulated that they were having struggle to engage Indigenous people and communities in their innovation projects. And so it became fairly clear to us at SIT that we needed to step in, that it wasn't going to happen without Indigenous leadership. In 2015, there was an Indigenous Innovation Summit, and there's just kind of a quote that I often think about when I get a little bit confused about, well, what is Indigenous innovation? And it's, of course, from the amazing Honorable Justice Murray Sinclair. And he said at that summit that innovation isn't always about creating new things. Innovation sometimes involves looking back at our old ways and bringing them forward to this new situation. So, don't overthink innovation, right? So a little bit about SIT, and I know Al gave a little bit of a background there, and I'll try not to spend too much time on this, and if you're curious more broadly about what we do at SIT, I'm happy to rattle on about that. SIT has been around for a long time, 1976. In many, many ways, we're like other post-secondary institutions. We're certainly at that college level, so a lot of the programming we deliver is certificate and diploma level training, lots of trades training, a lot of adult basic education. And we've been around since 1976. And I guess two things maybe that I think of that makes us quite unique. The first one is that we are an entity of the FSIN, so we are First Nation governed, so our Board of Governors is made up of First Nations chiefs and leaders from across the province. And the second thing that I often think is somewhat unique is our career centers. So we have 11 career centers strategically located right across the province, and these are physical locations, and in many ways they act like employment centers for job seekers, but they also do engagement with employers. And I think that speaks to the model of SIT as a whole. We're not necessarily, a very centralized model where we have this large fancy campus that people come to. We really try to do community-driven programming. I think Al talked a little bit about our accreditation. We certainly have to make greater investments around student supports, employment services, and all of our programming and services are really grounded in Indigenous teaching and wellness principles. We do quite a bit of work-integrated learning opportunities. We try to make sure students as quickly as possible get exposure to the workplace. And pathways is a really important piece of the work that we do. We know that we can't do it alone, and so articulation agreements and partnerships with other institutions here within the province, U of R, U of S, Sask Poly, but also exterior to the province.
SIT has always been innovative in terms of our programs. This program is just another iteration of how we blend Indigenous knowledge, Indigenous pedagogies, Indigenous approaches to teaching our students, and looking at business and innovation through an Indigenous lens.
We want the students to be grounded every day. We combine Indigenous knowledge combined with content like business technology and the business world.
A lot of the students don't know what they would necessarily want to do yet, but this is a program to get into because there's so much support systems to help, bring your seeds into a plant and keep growing.
The staff are so helpful. It seems like there's no way you can fail if you really try, if you don't miss classes. All you gotta do is just work towards your goal.
Everyone here will support you and will want to see the best for you. And that's an experience you won't really get in a traditional classroom even.
So the integration of the auntie in residence, we were thinking of ways of how are we going to create that bubble? What can we do to make that space familiar and safe to our Indigenous students? So the auntie in residence, they're not elders, but they work alongside elders. They're helpers in the communities. They are those moral compasses when we're veering off in a direction that we should be heading on. They guide us back to where we should be heading.
I believe that for myself as a Métis entrepreneur, sometimes I feel a little underrepresented. So I think we have a group of individuals who are going to walk out of our program and say, hey, this is me, and I am an Indigenous entrepreneur, and I am going to do amazing things.
Oftentimes people think that, an entrepreneurship program is about starting a business, but this program is about so much more. It's about developing communication skills, collaboration skills, problem-solving skills. All of those skills would be essential and impactful for the communities in different ways.
I want a small business. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do the things that I like and pursue the hobbies and interests that I like, and to do that in the business field.
We have the best of both worlds. We are taking our worldview, we are taking our customs, our culture, our history, our traditions, and we are incorporating them and using them in a way to balance with the entrepreneurship side of Western business to allow us to be successful no matter what our entrepreneurship idea is. And I think that's so important. This program is going to assist the students in finding that balance, that connection, and really help them celebrate that who you are is going to help you determine what you can become.
So if you didn't get to hear all that, I'm glad you at least got to see the images, and all of our videos are up on our website, so you're welcome to take a peek on there, and it's through YouTube. So a little bit about the project. So SIT was trying to figure out, how do we resource an innovation project? And, we don't even necessarily know if Indigenous innovation is different. So we connected with many, many partners, many accelerators, literally across the country, to try and figure out what was going to be the right fit for us. And I really appreciated at SIT that our leadership was very, very determined to, the word I often hear is pick our own partners. We want to lead it, and we will pick the partners who are going to partner with us. So we're not necessarily going to be led in Indigenous innovation. We knew that we needed to lead it. And that, maybe caused a bit of a delay, but I appreciate that that was really important, and I think it has proven to be valuable. So ultimately, in late 2020, SIT did come to an agreement with Sustainable Development Technology Canada, SDTC, for the creation of the very first Indigenous Innovation Accelerator of its kind. And it's actually called Powatsikuyagimik, and that's a Cree word, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But really, we wanted Powatsikuyagimik provide skill building, experiential and land-based learning and mentorship opportunities for inventors of all ages who have their dreams supported, and dreams is an ongoing theme throughout the project, while creating a space that emphasizes culture, language, and kinship, by providing access to traditional knowledge keepers and elders. We didn't necessarily have a plan when we started. We really started with a number of different milestones, and I'll quickly talk through those milestones. But I think the beauty of the project itself was the idea that we didn't really know where we were headed, and that was important in order to get to where we needed to get to. Okay, so these are the 3 milestones. The project has been running now for a couple of years. We just completed milestone 2. So the first milestone, and there's a bit of an agriculture theme here, is Pisikikanis, which means seed. So to ensure that the project was grounded in good kinship practices of Wokotowin, the milestones in the work plan really focused on sustainable land care and garden practices. And that was really just planting the seeds within our institution, within our communities, and within our partners. And then we got into the second milestone, which is Piko Pisikateo, and that is to cultivate. So here we're starting to the act of plowing the land, the seeds are developing, and there's improvement and maturity within those seeds. We're starting to gather the resources and the tools and the strength and the knowledge to move the project forward and explore different solutions. And we've just started our third milestone, Asamawasau, which is like to sustain. And so this is like nourishment from the land. And in this milestone, we are just starting to begin to reflect on the learnings, put them together, and create sustainable changes for Indigenous entrepreneurs and innovators in Saskatchewan. So the framework for the project as a whole has the Cree concept of Wakotowin. And so there certainly is a physical space capacity to it, and that is the Pawatsakiwikimik. So we started our innovation journey that innovation was going to be just as much a mindset as it is an action. So learning new skills, making new ideas and solutions to create opportunity for the futures of youth and community. It's traditional and it's relational. So staying in line with the SIT strategic plan and our goals to be responsive to Indigenous learners, it was important to engage with our learners about what that actual space would look like. And we heard really strongly about their dreams and desires and goals of starting a new business in a space that felt safe and celebrated who they are while embracing new technologies. So we had a number of engagement sessions with different student and community and staff groups to really come to a sense of what this space will look like. So Pawatsakiwikimik is a Plains Cree word, and it means a building or a lodge that cultivates and supports the dreams of the people who reside in that lodge. And we are expecting that new space to be open in January of 22. So it's currently under construction, and it's located here in Saskatoon at our 4th Avenue campus. But we have Randy Morin. He provided articulation of how to actually pronounce the word. This is kind of what's exciting me these days. The whole project is very exciting, but I'm just like more and more impressed every day with those that are working within the project. And sometimes they just really impress me about, they're much more conceptual thinkers than I think I probably ever was. So we're in the 3rd milestone, and we're starting the vision of figuring out the stages to begin to bundle our lessons learned and develop a plan to share our teachings that will help grow the Indigenous innovation ecosystem here in Saskatchewan. So we need to figure out what was a tool, what could be an assessment tool, or how could we determine what those lessons were that can be shared with others. And so reflecting on milestone 2, the team felt that they could both measure and evaluate criteria for success and impact. And this was also a pattern that we saw from the cultural scan, where Indigenous innovation and entrepreneurship is concerned. Those who surveyed and spoke believe strongly in seeing Indigenous ways of being and doing front and center. So 57% of respondents believed that Indigenous innovation meant First Nations owned, led, and worldview guided. 48% of respondents said Indigenous innovation means giving back, honoring traditional teachings from foundation to action. So this has really strongly become a theme throughout all of the different innovation projects that we've had at SIT. So in terms of the framework that we've decided to move forward with, this is the draft up here, and I know you can't really see it, but it's a Soto or a Anishinaabe teaching, the 7 grandfather teachings. And we are attempting to use these teachings not only as values, but also as evaluation criteria around the innovation project. So I'm gonna try to quickly walk you through those 7 grandfather teachings, just so you have a sense of how the innovation project really is first grounded in Indigenous pedagogy, andragogy, in order to create that foundation for our students and communities from which then we can leverage into new technologies, entrepreneurship. So I am a Cree Michif person. I am not Soto, but I have been practicing my Soto. I do have one of my best friends is Soto, and she's taking Ojibwe, which is one of the Anishinaabe languages. So the first grandfather teaching is Zagadawin, which is love. And I'm just going to kind of talk through some of the initiatives that are happening underneath the innovation project to give you a sense of how we are practicing not only the values, but we also are able to do some measurements. So this here is a picture of Sky Southwind. And actually thinking about it, I actually think I took this picture because I signed up for a medicine walk out at Sweetgrass, and she was there, and I knew she was one of our students, so I was so excited to see her there. And she informed me that she did receive a micro grant from the innovation project and used those resources to attend the medicine walk. So I had to take a picture of her, and I'm pretty sure that that's it. Anyway, she's part of our first cohort of the Meoskimin Applied Certificate. So this is a full-time credit course. And her business is called Aki Botanicals. And here's a quote from Sky. At first, I found it difficult to share my ideas with my classmates. As soon as I overcame this feeling, because this course is designed to promote cooperative problem solving through group activities such as weekly sharing circle, presentations, and friendly competition. The class structure provides us with a solid foundation on which we felt comfortable building our capacities. After completing the course, I have gained a clearer sense of what is ahead of me. So just, able to create some measures in there in terms of number of ideas supported, passion projects, student short-term employment opportunities, and dollar values of the amount of money that we were able to reward students around wraparound supports for their new businesses. So the second teaching is Debwewin, which is truth. And here we capture our values and actions centering Indigenous ways of being, healing, and mutual growth with respect to all our relations. This here picture is a picture of a project that the Maker Lodge did in Big River. So we have an adult basic education program in Big River. The Maker Lodge went up there and did a photo voice project. So the students in the Adult 10 program were supported in their Photography 30 class by the Maker Lodge. The Maker Lodge supplied technology and provided instruction on how to use a Canon Rebel point-and-shoot cameras, a laptop with editing software, and a drone. And the students were able to, use video to show their community through their eyes. And they talked about how cultural revitalization could aid in solving increased youth addiction. So they were quite concerned about the addictions in their community, and they wanted to be able to use the drone and the footage to demonstrate the connection to culture and to return back to that custom in the hopes of battling youth addiction. Okay, the third one is Dabazindezawin, which is humility. And here is a photo of Tim Ayashape. He's one of the knowledge keepers at SIT. And knowledge keepers are, used right from the get-go, and that included starting the project off in the right way with a pipe ceremony, to their inclusion in our advisory council, our brainstorming sessions, and really how we're merging those new technologies with our traditional teaching. So it's very common that you will see, the 3D printer going, and there'll be a buffalo being printed, and we'll have a knowledge keeper talking about the role of buffalo and how buffaloes may have been used in our history. So here we have a couple of measurables, so the number of feedback sessions, the number of elders who are connected with the project, number of communities that we've consulted, and the number of innovators consulted as well. So this picture here is of Tim, and I think he's doing a medicine teaching. So students would be filming this, and then they would be responsible for some of the editing. Or for all of the editing, because nobody would want me to do that. We really try to champion our learners, and here it brings us back to that dreamer. So students, this is a quote that came from one of our engagement sessions, and students and youth are the dreamers. The elders and communities, SIT faculty and staff are the believers. We need to let the students know that we believe in their ideas. So that dream and imagination was really key to the project. So here's a couple of photos of our Indigenous entrepreneurs. The one on the left is Raven, and she created a car detailing business called Shingoose Detailing. And during her time with the business class, she engaged with the innovator in residence, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Her name was, at the time, was Tanya LaRose, and who connected Raven with the chief of Whitecap Dakota First Nation. So she met with Chief Darcy Bear, and he extended additional resources for Shingoose detailing to grow and an opportunity for new clientele through the community. So Raven hopes to see more students like herself benefit from this time with SIT by utilizing everything the Center for Innovation has to offer. And the second photo is Shelby Amani. She's an ITSS student. And we had a competition for a design for Orange Shirt Day. And her design won. This was not this September, but the September previously. And we actually had a partnership with Hard Pressed to create, to print these shirts. And they were so popular. They sold out within 20 minutes. I mean, I was right on the computer trying to order them. And by the time I finally got through, there was only small and medium left. So it's been very popular. And since then, we have invested in quite a bit of textile, like Cricut machines and things like that, as students are really interested in that kind of technology. All right, number 4 is Jean Godwin, which is courage. And here our belief in supporting emerging minds, peoples, businesses, and entrepreneurs along their journey, knowing that they will create our new paths forward. And this is something, I can be a little bit uncomfortable, as most people can be, right, with the unknown. Where are we going? Are we going to hit our goals, our milestones? Well, they're not even, very clear. So it was a little bit difficult. But here is a picture of Kristen Pelche, and was a first-year business admin student at SIT, and she also operated a small business called Heime, specializing in beadwork and dream catchers. She came into this program hoping it would help her form and enhance her business plan. Her goal for the future is to have her own Indigenous supply store with space to host cultural workshops. Since coming to SIT, she's been inspired to work harder on her dreams due to the encouragement and help provided. The Powatsigikimik has offered so much exceptional opportunity, such as partnering for beadwork tutorials in January. And she was also given the opportunity to make the card holders that you see up there for the Mioskamin Innovation and Entrepreneurship Program. She also was offered employment as a camp assistant in our first STEAM Indigenous Youth Day Camp, which was during last February's Reading Week. And so to prepare for the camp, she also had to take first aid and CPR training. The experience she's had working with the Center for Innovation, especially the staff, have inspired her to work harder on her professional goals. So you can see that there's not a silver bullet to Indigenous innovation, and there's lots of different things happening, right from our adult basic education classes, right up to knowledge keepers, and including our innovators in residence. We have an auntie in residence. There's lots of moving parts here. I think one of the heart, at least for me, for the project is the Maker Lodge itself. It's a physical space at our Saskatoon campus. And again, it's a place to dream and create. And it's really created an atmosphere on our campus that is just really conducive to innovation and entrepreneurship. SIT is too small. We weren't able to, have innovation people within all of our academic areas. So we needed to figure out how to explore the innovation project, but really how to create that ecosystem and get exposure right across our student body, our staff, but also our communities. And the Maker Lodge has really been a nice hub for that to happen. We do all sorts of things in there, from beading tutorials. We talked about the card holders. We've got 3D printers. We really started out with sewing machines, and we've invited in lots of community. So not just students, but many of their families and kids. We've done a number of children's camp. We did the STEAM camp last February, and we did about 5 summer camps, which is somewhat new for SIT, related to innovation and entrepreneurship over this past summer. So this is Nebe-Wakawin, which is wisdom. And here I get to talk a little bit about our innovator in residence. So we knew role models was going to be an important piece. A lot of our students that go through the program talked about the importance of the staff within the innovation project. So our first innovator in residence was Tanya LaRose. She's a successful realtor here in Saskatoon, and she became a real champion for what we were doing and a real instigator around entrepreneurship. And she continues, like I'll often end up at one of our innovation events, and she still comes around, and it's absolutely wonderful to see. This here is a picture of Dawn Pratt. Dawn is a chemist, and so she was our second innovator in residence, and she just recently completed her residency. But Dawn is a scientist, and she used her education in STEM and as a business consultant, including providing expertise to business students through mentorship, lunch and learn workshops, technical support, and advice. As the innovator in residence, Dawn mentored students on their business presentations by providing technical advice and research to support the presentations. She developed and delivered lunch and learns on innovation and creativity in business with an experiential activity highlighting sustainable products and packaging. So Dawn is in the process of creating sustainable packaging for liquids, for water. So she creates these little balls of, I'm not sure what the outside is, and then there's water inside. So there's absolutely no packaging. So you just take the ball and pop it in your mouth, and you have a splash of water. So that was pretty exciting to be happening at SIT, and just sort of got people thinking about, what does sustainability look like, and what can packaging look like to ensure that we have sustainability. Dawn is also really invested in the teepee and the teachings of a teepee and how they relate to science and math and technology. She also has the digital planetarium workshops where we learn about the sky and what that meant as Indigenous people and how we used the sky. And so she's just recently finished her residency, and I haven't even met our new innovator in residence yet. But his name is Jordan Wapas, and he is owner of the Res Life. So it's a textile clothing company. So they've just been an incredible addition to our campuses and all of our programmings. Okay, Goy Yakwe Dazawin is honesty, and we have a commitment to traditional practices, beliefs, and honest communication. So here we have another picture of one of our students. This is Dion Bear. I just saw him this morning in the Maker Lodge. He actually designed our orange t-shirts this year, and he's wearing it there in the photo. He's from Big Island Lake Cree Nation, and here is a quote from Dion. I came to SIT because I wanted to return to school, to learn about technology, computers, and I really like the environment here. I started in business, went to IT, and now I'm doing design work. I love learning. I have a lot of interests and passion, art, music, technology, creativity, cooking. I became the Maker Lodge Summer Student Assistant because I really like the Maker Lodge. There's a lot of creative tools in this space. I wanted to learn them, play with all of the equipment, and I know I would have fun there. The advice I would give students about the Maker Lodge is not to be intimidated or hesitant. A lot of technology is very easy to learn to start making things. There's a lot of people in the lodge who can teach you stuff, and it's fun. A number of our summer camps really included a number of different generations. So the example I often give is we did a summer camp up in Isle of Cross, and we tried to get people to register ahead of time. Well, that just sometimes just doesn't work. So off they go to Isle of Cross. We have a number of SIT branded vehicles, including a Tesla that is like quite of interest when we pull into a community with it. And of course, as soon as people saw the SIT vehicles and what's going on, we had a full house, and we just had multi-generations who were attending our camps. So that was pretty exciting. And lastly, Manaje Adewin, respect. So our emphasis on equity, sustainability, family circles, and our belief in being led by the whole community, youth, women, two-spirit, men, rural, and urban. So really taking a look at the diversity of our participants and those that are leading the project, and making sure that we have a nice representation of our communities and the communities that we serve. So I think the lessons learned is really starting to emerge, and this is kind of what's most exciting for me. So we're starting to see that cultural foundations are important to our students. Students want to reconnect and strengthen their connection with their culture. Our job at the Innovation Project is to find ways to merge the cultural teachings with new technologies so that our students are grounded in tradition and prepared for the future. Innovation and Indigenous knowledge go hand in hand. They're not different. Successful pathways to support innovation and entrepreneurship need to be relational. So there has to be that relationship piece as a foundation. And I just can't do this without giving a shout out to the lead team. I'm thinking that they made these, I asked them to give me a picture, and I think they made these t-shirts for the picture because I just got the photo yesterday. But this is it looks like they're calling themselves the SIT Innovation Crew. At least that's what their t-shirts say. And really, I wish I could take any credit for this at all, and I have absolutely done none of it. Like, these are the amazing creative minds of the youth, and it leaves me so optimistic for our Indigenous communities and where we're headed. So at the back row is Noah Rosenheck, the technology officer, Tia Graham, a program coordinator in outreach and engagement, so she does all the Mobile Maker Lodge stuff. Samantha is the coordinator for innovation and entrepreneurship, and Val is our department assist. And then in the front row is Cale Passmore, and his title is Impact and Insights Analyst, so he's doing a lot of the gathering of the bundles of knowledge. Ryan Jimmy in the middle is the director, and he's been a huge asset to SIT and to the project. And then Jordan Morton is our newest addition to the innovation team, and he works with Tia on the outreach. So I hope that you're a little bit inspired around what's happening in our Indigenous communities around innovation and entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I didn't take too long, Al. And if you're interested in wanting to know more about what we're doing, I'd be more than happy to chat with you. And you're always welcome to come over to our Maker Lodge space and have a peek, because they really, once you're in this space, it tells the story so much better than I can do with a bit of a PowerPoint. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I had a question specifically with regards to choosing your partners. You had mentioned that you're very intentional about doing that and you want to lead the process. From your experience, what is your ideal partner from both the institutional level but also individuals that you engage in?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, but I think that there's alignment with SIT as a whole. Partnership really has to be a two-way street. And I think if you're doing partnership and it's it's a contribution to SIT, whether that be financial or knowledge or skills or equipment, it still has to be understood as a two-way street. We have so much to offer. We have so much knowledge. We have, so there has to be recognition from our partners that it's an equal partnership. Does that make sense? That's really, I think, for me, the bottom line is that sort of respect around the partnership. So it's not too much to ask, but sometimes you would be surprised that it's not always there.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, and we have
Thank you.
this.
Oh, thanks. Amazing. Saskatchewan products. I have to get some of our students' products in here for you.
Yes, that'd be great for future.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So to closing, I just want to mention maybe a couple of things. One about Reflect on IMI's 10 years, but also on our Let's Talk Mineral events. I would say we've tried to do three things with Let's Talk Minerals. One is take advantage of the expertise and knowledgeable people within our membership to have them speak, like we did today with our first two speakers. We also have tried over the years to allow some of our members to be featured, like we just did, with their innovation projects, their innovation commitments, and for any government member, anytime the government wants to give us a lot of money, we're always happy to have you featured here at Let's Talk Minerals for that type of event. And then the third thing, more recently, we've been bringing our project partners to the event. So we do hope that combination of bringing out, I think, some of the best in our membership and some of the best in our partners makes for a good event for you. So I hope you did enjoy this year's event. That's my reflection on Livestock Minerals. On IMI itself, this is our 10th year, or we turned 10 years old this year. We sponsored 50 projects in that time worth more than $20 million in education and training and research and development and demonstration technologies. I'll just want to mention some of the major projects and initiatives. Our very first project was we put $1.67 million, or a $1.67 million project with the University of Saskatchewan to create their undergraduate mining options in the College of Engineering. And our speaker from the University of Regina says that maybe that's another model we could consider if we want to incent innovation and change in our post-secondary partners. We could do something like that again in a new area. Thanks for that idea. We put money towards what ended up being a $1.84 million project to support the creation of Northlands College Mine School up in La Ronge area. Already mentioned, we made a commitment to increasing, on behalf of our members, diversity and inclusion in the minerals industry workforce, which grew into those 11 projects, and they were actually worth $2.2 million, and we've got some of them featured here today. We have a rep for MyTax with us. We're very happy. We entered into a $1.2 million partnership with MyTax to fund student internships to advance research and development in innovations in Saskatchewan's minerals industry. We've recently concluded a alternative energy systems innovation challenge project, which we put $500,000 out to help bring new energy technology into the province, into the industry. And we've committed more than $500,000 over 5 years to create the Empowered Scholarship and Mining Futures Award for women and Indigenous peoples in the minerals related post-secondary programs. I mentioned that one last, not because it's last, but we're hosting a reception tonight for our scholarship winners from the past 2 COVID years. It's something we were able to do in the very first year of the program. We just haven't been able to do it the last 2 years, but we're very happy we're going to be doing it tonight with them and looking forward to the opportunity to celebrate their success as winning our scholarships in person and with their families. So to close, I want to thank you all again for being here today. Jeremy and Gina and Tavia for speaking today, our Innovation Role partners for engaging with you today. Next year, we look forward to again hold Let's Talk Minerals, let's say in the spring. Again, it got COVID impacted this year from spring to fall, so I do appreciate you coming out. And just to let you know that if you do have a few minutes before you have to go back to work or leave us, the Innovation Role partners are still here for you to engage with. So that's it. Thank you everyone for joining us today.